Yo, it's official. The NBA season kicks off tonight. Feels like the offseason flew by. Tonight we'll get to see several of the best teams in the league play in Celtics Knicks and Lakers Timberwolves. As promised, here is part 3 of my NBA power rankings, numbers 1 through 10. I'll have all kinds of NBA draft and general NBA content through the season. Stick around and let's jump into it. Kicking off the top 10, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers, a team riddled with strong players and one that I absolutely refuse to quit on. Donovan Mitchell remains one of the most underappreciated MVP level players in the league. I really believe he's capable of 1A potential in both the regular season and postseason despite some shortcomings. And players like Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and Jarrett Allen are strong ancillary pieces as far as those go. Last season, I picked the Cavs to finish in the top 3 of the East, and there's still a small part of me that feels that's doable with a real postseason run forthwith. For now, Cleveland stays at number 10 as they've done very little as a unit to prove they deserve a higher ranking. At 9 stand the Denver Nuggets, fresh off a wildly disappointing series lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves. The sun this team orbits, Nikola Jokic, remains the best player in the world, having won his 3rd MVP last season, and his playstyle lends itself well to most of the pieces this Denver team has in point guard Jamal Murray, and forwards in Aaron Gordon and Michael Porter Jr. But there's a few reasons I feel relatively uneasy about this squad. A starter and major contributor in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has left for Orlando, a big hit in my opinion in a tough West, and Murray has seen somewhat of a topsy-turvy stretch with some down playoff games and less than great Olympics run. I've no doubt Murray can find his form again, but without any real adds for the Nuggets in a Western Conference that seemingly made moves, are they any more contenders than last year when they suffered a second-round exit? Are they worse? I'm certain this team can churn through the regular season and win plenty of games, but I think making a playoff splash would take a gargantuan effort from Jokic, which honestly is doable. He's that good. But ultimately, I've docked them just a few spots here for a lethargic offseason. At number 8, and likely surprisingly high for many, are the Phoenix Suns, a dark horse team that I think could be melded by some star power, continuity, and offseason additions. Kevin Durant, at his peak, remains a top 5 player in the NBA, and his health and success is paramount to Phoenix becoming a true contender. Devin Booker is about as good as 1Bs get. Bradley Beal as a 3rd option still intrigues me, and I think a full offseason together should help this trio out. The signing of Tyus Jones as a true point guard should work wonders for this squad, and rookie additions in Ryan Dunn and Oso Ighodaro should add some capable bodies they didn't have last season. Simply put, I think this team has the genetic makeup to be a real NBA champion. Elite stars, gluey role players, growing continuity, but they are going to have so many different things fall their way in terms of health, chemistry, and development, so for that reason they will stay at 8. At 7, we have the Dallas Mavericks, a roster I'm not necessarily in love with, but due to the sheer dominance of Luka Doncic, I feel like I have to include in this contending tier. The Mavericks are fresh off a finals appearance, one that honestly shocked me and plenty of others, but in hindsight it did make sense given the front office was really successful in adding complementary pieces to the Doncic recipe. Kyrie Irving remains brilliant on court, likely being the best true combo guard in the league, and Derek Lively's been a welcome surprise as a starter level center and one that's perfect for Luka. Players like PJ Washington, Maxi Kleber, and Daniel Gafford offer nice reinforcements. Notable offseason additions for this team include Klay Thompson, Najee Marshall, and Spencer Dinwiddie, honestly none of which are moving the needle tremendously for me. For the very same reason I couldn't put the Suns higher, I again think too many outside factors will have to shake out in the Mavericks' favor for them to make another run at the title. 6th overall, we have the Minnesota Timberwolves, a team I actually had higher prior to its offseason moves. In a somewhat shocking trade, the team sent off longtime franchise star Karl Anthony Towns in exchange for New York's bucket-getting Julius Randle and gluey Dante DiVincenzo. Half of me feels like Minnesota's double 7-footer gimmick was vital to its success, but the other half feels like the transcendent Anthony Edwards and a still solid roster deserve adequate praise, landing them here at 6. I'm a longtime believer in Gobert's pure impact. I think Conley has a gas-filled tank. Players like McDaniels and Naz Reid are great. I love the Rob Dillingham selection. I think the Wolves may have an uphill battle ahead of them, but we've seen talented teams conquer that hill before. Kicking off the top 5 are the Milwaukee Bucks. To me, the team that potentially stands to gain the most from a year of continuity betwixt its 2 stars. Giannis Antetokounmpo remains a force of nature, capable of propelling any team to glory, much less one that I think has real talent. Former Trailblazers superstar Damian Lillard comes from a similar vein, but failed to really show that off in tandem with the Greek Freak last season. Most simply, I think this duo is spectacular enough to flat out get it done, but I do have questions about the team's depth and about the health of its moderately aged core of role players in Lopez and Chris Middleton. Last year, I really bet on the Giannis Dame pairing and it kinda bit me, but I'm fully prepared to do it again with some continuity added to the team's concoction. I am borderline in love with this Philadelphia 76ers roster, which I've ranked at number 4. They have one of the top players on earth in center Joel Embiid, who does things no player in the history of basketball can do on a near nightly basis. A darling newcomer to the land of all-stars in Tyrese Maxey, and over the offseason it signed Paul George of Clippers infamy to a max contract. And despite his woes over the last several seasons, that's still a highly impactful two-way piece. That 1-3-5 punch alone is enough to move mountains, not to mention the fact they've got great and proven role players in Kyle Lowry, Kelly Oubre, Eric Gordon, Caleb Martin, and more. The only real factors weighing Philadelphia down are the least fun ones: injury concerns, roster turnover, etc. Despite me really believing in Maxey, George, Embiid on court, they're going to need to be on court. And to this point, some of those pieces just haven't proven to be able to do that, especially for the extended stretch that it would take to make and win the finals. The offseason's busiest team. The New York Knicks traded for Mikal Bridges for a deal mostly including picks, signed two-way forward OG Anunoby to a max contract, and then surprisingly dealt Randall and DiVincenzo in order to nab Karl Anthony Towns. If you didn't keep track, that makes their starting five superstar Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, the multi-tooled Josh Hart, OG Anunoby, and Cat, which quite frankly is ridiculous. And to be honest, they don't have a bad crop of role players either, despite their top-heavy roster. I don't have a lot of bad things to say about this squad, really. I truly consider them an easy contender. I think this front office has put its destiny in the hands of the players, and I think they're pretty capable of coming away with a chip. The only thing stopping this really good team is probably injuries and other really good teams. Speaking of those, for obvious reasons, the Boston Celtics come in near the top, although probably surprisingly at number 2 for many. This is one of the more well-constructed teams I've ever seen. A do-it-all near superstar in Jason Tatum, Finals MVP Jaylen Brown, continually probably the most underrated point guard in the league in Drew Holiday, a gluey multi-tooled stud in Derek White, and unicorn Kristaps Porzingis round out their starting 5. They rightfully cruised to the NBA Finals last season and won in just 5 games, eliminating any doubt that they were the best roster in basketball after a 64-win season. Number 2 could very well be too low for this titan of a basketball team, and it wouldn't surprise me if they truly did have a dynastic future starting with this year. But there is an inkling of me that feels with how truly hard it is to repeat in the NBA, the team's former struggles with getting over the hump, and just how talented the league is right now, they might not be a shoo-in to repeat. The number 1 team in my 24-25 power rankings is the Oklahoma City Thunder, a ranking I've somewhat avoided out of fear of complete objectivity with me covering the team. But I'm a little tired of beating around the bush here given how truly ridiculous I think this roster is. With my ties to Oklahoma aside, I really genuinely think this is probably the best on-paper team in the league. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is dwarfed by no player in the league, having finished as the MVP runner-up just last season as a legit two-way force at guard. 2022 draftees Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams are quick rising stars in this league. The former I think is eventually bound for MVP type impact, and the latter I believe will soon be an easy bet as a perennial all-star forward. The rest of the team is composed of role players who can both individually shine and make those around them better. They acquired Alex Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein and shipping off very little this offseason. AC is a seamless fit at guard with all defense and sharpshooting, and I think Hartenstein gives this team an entirely new genetic makeup as a 7-footer. That's not even accounting for Cason Wallace, a player I'm on record saying has Drew Holiday impact in his future, albeit probably not this season, as well as the all-defense-esque Lou Dort, sharpshooter Isaiah Joe, basketball saver Aaron Wiggins, and plenty more. Tie in the fact this organization has an elite general manager, what I believe is an extremely savvy head coach, and a war chest of future picks to work with, this likely isn't the last time you'll see OKC with the number 1 next to their name.